Now listen close, dear. Let me take you back. Not to fancy kitchens or glowing screens, but to a quiet American home somewhere in the mid-1970s. A small house, maybe with creaky floorboards and curtains that danced when the wind slipped through. It's 5:30 in the morning, still dark, the kind of dark that feels heavy, like the world itself is still asleep. But she's awake. Not because she wants to be, oh no, because if she isn't, the whole day stumbles before it even begins. Your mama, or maybe your grandma, like me, she swings her feet onto that cold floor. No thermostat set just right overnight, just a chill that bites your toes and makes you move quicker. She wraps her robe tight and heads to the kitchen. First thing, coffee. Always coffee. Not from a machine that does the thinking for you. No, this was a percolator. It gurgled and hissed like it had something to say, filling the kitchen with that rich smell that meant we're getting through this day. Then came the planning, because hot water didn't always come easy. Maybe the water heater was slow. Maybe the house pipes groaned awake like an old man stretching his back. She knew exactly how long it would take. She always did. While the coffee brewed, she packed lunches, brown paper bags lined up like little soldiers, peanut butter sandwiches, maybe bologna, an apple if the budget stretched that far, a handwritten note tucked inside sometimes, nothing fancy, just a have a good day. And before anyone stirred upstairs, breakfast was already underway. Eggs cracked into a pan, toast made one slice at a time, sometimes pancakes if it was a special morning. She moved quietly, like she didn't want to disturb the peace she had for just a few minutes. That was her time, you see, those quiet early hours. Not rest, no, never rest, but a kind of calm before the storm of the day. And oh, that storm was coming. By the time the children came thundering down the stairs, the house was alive. Shoes missing, homework forgotten, someone arguing over who got the last piece of toast, and there she was, right in the middle of it, steady as ever. Fixing collars, tying laces, wiping faces with a damp cloth. Don't forget your lunch. Be good in school. Watch for cars when you cross. The same words every morning, like a song she never stopped singing. Once they were out the door, you'd think she might sit down, take a breath. Oh no, child, that's when the real work began. Monday was laundry day, and not the kind you toss into a machine and forget. No, this was hauling baskets, sorting piles, measuring soap by hand. The washer rattled and shook like it had a mind of its own, and the dryer, if there was one, it wasn't big enough for it all. So out went the clothes, sheets flapping in the wind, shirts pinned one by one. In winter, her fingers turned red from the cold, but she kept going, because clean clothes didn't just happen, they were earned. Inside, the house waited. Floors to sweep, rugs to beat, bathrooms to scrub until they shined just right. She used what she had, powders, rags, elbow grease, no shortcuts. And the whole time her mind was busy. What's for dinner? Do we have enough milk? Is there money for shoes this month? She carried it all, not in her hands, but in her head. By noon, she might sit for a moment, just a moment, a sandwich, maybe yesterday's leftovers, the television murmuring softly in the background, but even then her eyes weren't really on the screen. She was already thinking about the afternoon, because in a house like that, the work never truly stopped. Now, where were we, sweetheart? Ah, yes, the afternoon. That quiet little stretch of time that never really was quiet at all. By early afternoon, the house looked settled, beds made, dishes done, laundry swaying outside like flags of victory. But don't let that fool you. That was only the surface. She'd tie on her cardigan, grab her purse, and head out again. No big supermarkets on every corner like today. No carts you could fill in one go. No, this was a different kind of shopping. Slower, personal. First stop might be the butcher. He knew her by name, knew exactly how thin she liked the cuts. Then the grocer, where she picked through fruits and vegetables, careful with every penny. No strawberries in winter, mind you, just what the season allowed. And she counted as she went, not out loud, but in her head, always counting. Back home she came, arms full, sometimes with a child tagging along, sometimes alone with her thoughts. Bags set down, items put away just so, nothing wasted, nothing forgotten. Then came the preparing. Dinner didn't start at dinner time. Oh no, it started hours before. Meat thawed, vegetables chopped, potatoes peeled and soaking in cold water. A stew might simmer slowly, filling the house with a smell that wrapped you around like a warm blanket. And while the pot bubbled, she kept moving, mending clothes at the kitchen table, a sock here, a loose button there, fabric worn thin but not yet ready to be thrown away. She'd patch it, stitch it, give it another life. Sometimes she'd glance at the clock. School would be out soon. And just like that, the quiet ended. The door would swing open, voices rushing in like a gust of wind, stories of the day, complaints, laughter, hunger, always hunger. She'd listen, really listen, even while her hands were busy, nodding, asking questions, remembering every little detail, because to her those stories mattered. They always did. Now, evening, dear, that was the heart of it all. By 5 o'clock sharp, maybe a minute before, never after, dinner was on the table. Not ordered, not reheated, but made from scratch every single time. Maybe it was meatloaf that night, rich and warm, or fried chicken with a crisp you could hear before you tasted it. Mashed potatoes whipped smooth, green beans cooked just right. Simple food, but made with care. The kind of care you could taste. The family gathered, chairs scraping, voices filling the room, and she made sure everyone else was served first, always. Take some more. Did you eat enough? Don't rush your food. She watched over that table like it was something sacred, because in a way it was. It was the one time of day when everyone came together. Afterward, while others leaned back or wandered off, her work continued. Dishes didn't wash themselves. Plates stacked high, water running hot, hands moving steady. No dishwasher humming in the background, just the clink of plates and the rhythm she knew by heart. The kitchen slowly returned to order, counters wiped, floors swept, tomorrow already waiting in the corners. And still she wasn't done. Oh no, not even close, because evening brought its own kind of work, quieter maybe, but just as endless. Now come sit a little closer, dear. Evenings weren't for resting, not really. They were just softer work. Once the kitchen was put back in order, she'd finally step into the living room, maybe the only warm room in the house, where a lamp cast a golden glow and the television flickered quietly in the corner. But her hands, oh, they never stayed still. Out came the ironing board, set up just so. Shirts, dresses, school clothes, each one pressed carefully, steam rising as the iron moved back and forth. Every crease mattered, every collar had to sit just right, because how her family looked out in the world, well, that reflected on her. Sometimes she'd pause just long enough to glance at whatever show was on, a sitcom maybe, or the evening news, something familiar, something steady, but she never fully sunk into it, not yet. Beside her might sit a basket, thread, needles, scraps of fabric, a button replaced here, a tear mended there, socks turned inside out and darned until they could last another season. Nothing wasted. If the children needed help with homework, she was there. If someone felt sick, she'd notice before they even said a word. If a worry lingered in the air, she caught it like a whisper. She had a way of knowing things. And when the house grew quieter, when the little ones were tucked into bed and the older ones settled down, she'd finally sit, really sit, A cup of tea or maybe coffee warmed her hands. Not fancy, just simple and steady. She'd take a sip, lean back just a little, and for a few minutes, just a few, she'd breathe. But even then, her mind was turning. Tomorrow's lunches, the grocery list, that bill due next week. Always planning, always preparing, because morning would come again, and with it, another long day. Now here's the part people didn't always see, sweetheart. The part that didn't make noise. It wasn't just the cooking or the cleaning or the mending. It was everything in between. The things no one thought to thank her for because they barely noticed them at all. She remembered things. Oh, how she remembered. Doctor's appointments, school events, who liked what for breakfast, who had outgrown their shoes, who needed a little extra kindness that week. She carried it all without writing it down. It lived in her heart and her head. Money was tight more often than not. Every dollar had a place before it even arrived. She stretched meals, reused what she could, saved a little whenever possible. Sometimes she went without, quietly, without a word, just to make sure her family didn't have to. And when hard times came, as they always do, she didn't panic. She adjusted. Lights out early to save on electricity, extra blankets when the cold crept in, meals made a little thinner, but never empty. She made it work. That's what she did best. And through it all, she rarely complained, not because it was easy, but because she believed it was simply what had to be done. You see, her strength wasn't loud. It didn't demand attention. It was steady, like the ticking of a clock, like the rising of the sun, always there, whether anyone stopped to notice or not. And that, dear, that kind of strength is something the world doesn't talk about nearly enough. But oh, there's still more to tell. Now Saturdays, dear, those were something else entirely. You might think the end of the week meant slowing down, but for her, it meant everything had to be set right. The morning began earlier than most would have liked. No alarm needed, her body already knew. Windows opened just a crack, even in the cold, to let the stale air out. Freshness mattered, cleanliness mattered, and she carried both like a quiet duty. Out came the vacuum, loud, heavy, stubborn thing. It roared through every room while she guided it with practiced hands. Corners didn't get ignored. Rugs were lifted, turned, beaten if they had to be. Dust settled everywhere during the week, you see, and she chased it down with a cloth and polish, leaving surfaces shining softly in the light. The bathroom came next. Oh, she scrubbed it until it looked brand new. Sink, tub, tiles, nothing escaped her attention. The smell of cleaner filled the house, sharp but honest, a sign that things were cared for. Beds were stripped and remade, fresh sheets pulled tight, blankets folded just so. Even if no one else noticed, she did. She always did. By midday, she might pause, just briefly, to wipe her brow, take a sip of something warm, but rest? Not quite. There were floors to mop, trash to take out, small things to fix before they became big ones. A loose hinge, a squeaky door, a drawer that stuck. And all the while, she moved with purpose. Not rushed, not frantic, just steady. Because by evening, the house had to feel right. Clean, orderly, ready. Not just for Sunday, but for the week ahead. And when she finally looked around at what she'd done, there was a quiet kind of pride there. Not the loud kind people clap for, but the kind that sits deep in your chest and says, "This is my home, and I've taken care of it." Now Sunday, sweetheart, that was a different kind of day. Still work, mind you, but gentler somehow, softer around the edges. Morning came a little slower, maybe not as early, maybe with a second cup of coffee if she was lucky. The window stayed quiet just a bit longer, but soon enough she was back in the kitchen. Sunday dinner wasn't just a meal, it was an event. A roast in the oven, cooked low and slow. The smell filled every corner of the house, wrapping around you like a promise. Potatoes peeled and roasted to a golden crisp, vegetables lined up, ready to be cooked just right. She didn't need timers, she just knew. Years of doing it, feeling it, trusting her instincts. And when the family gathered, oh, that was her reward. Not in words, not in thanks, but in the simple act of everyone being there, together. After the meal, leftovers were never just leftovers. Oh no, she already had plans. Tomorrow's sandwiches, a stew perhaps, nothing wasted, everything used with care. The afternoon might bring a quieter moment. Maybe she sat by the window, maybe she listened to the radio or watched a program she liked, something small, something just for her. But even then, her hands might still be busy, knitting perhaps, stitch by stitch, creating something warm for someone she loved. As evening settled in, the house grew calm again. Clothes laid out for Monday, school bags checked, a mental list forming for the days ahead. And before bed, she'd take one last walk through the house. Doors locked, lights off, everything in its place. Then, finally, she'd sit. A warm drink in her hands, the quiet wrapping around her like a soft blanket. Just a moment, just enough to gather herself, because come morning, she'd rise again. And oh, my dear, there's still a little more I haven't told you yet. Now come here, dear, before you go wandering off. Tell me something, dear. What's one thing your mother or maybe your grandmother used to do that you only truly understood years later? Was it something small or something you didn't notice at all back then? I'd love to hear it. Truly I would. Stories like these shouldn't be forgotten. They're little pieces of love stitched into time. And if this story warmed your heart even just a little, go on and share it with someone who needs to remember or understand. Give it a like so more folks can find their way here. And subscribe, sweetheart, so we can keep these memories alive, one story at a time. Now don't be a stranger. There's always more stories waiting.